Okay, now comes the part of the show when we talk about things that everybody can relate to. We're going to talk a little bit about movies and TV. Both of us are really into movies and TV, so we figure that's an easy thing for us to talk about, and maybe something that you all can relate to for a change. So, Mr. Steve,
Yes.
with the landing strip, what have you been watching lately?
Well, I really like CW DC shows right now, like Supergirl, Batwoman, The Flash, The Arrow that just ended. So sad.
Don't give me spoilers, bro.
Yeah, you haven't watched them yet.
No, I know.
Black Lightning's actually really good. I like Black Lightning.
So you watch like all of them?
I watch all of them.
Where do you fucking find time, dude?
You have to. You have to watch all of them in sequence.
But where do you find time for them?
Because of the big ass crossover that they had, which I can't fucking remember what it was called.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Dude, luckily we don't talk
I'm kind
about...
of a couple beers in right now.
Luckily we don't talk about comic books in this show because clearly he's not a comic book fan.
I am not a comic book fan.
Otherwise,
I am a comic book fan,
you would
but I'm
know
more
the
of a
title.
TV comic book fan. But Crisis on Infinite Earths, that thing was amazing, and you need to watch it as soon as possible. That's what I'm watching on TV right now. Plus, I am a big wrestling fan. I do love WWE. I'm somewhat watching AEW right now. It's a brand new wrestling promotion. I started on TNT, the old WCW days. And I'm watching NXT. You have the Wednesday Night Wars going on. AEW, NXT going on right now.
So I gotta ask.
Yeah.
We were all, young once. Why do you still watch wrestling?
I think it's just, right now, I like the storylines, following where it goes. For me, I think TV is what I do. I like following the story, see how it goes. The pay-per-view events, I like watching the wrestling. I like the athleticism that they put on and the amazing matches. The TV matches, I kind of don't watch too much. I kind of fast forward through them. I do DVR them because I'm not home when they air live. So I do fast forward through most of the TV matches. But mostly it's kind of like, I like the storylines. And it's just, everyone back in the late 90s, everyone was watching wrestling. Everyone watched Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, the NWO. Everyone was into that. And so was I. And so was my brother. And I personally just continued watching it. I stopped here and there, but it just kind of stuck with me. And, it's just pure entertainment purposes only. And right now, WWE is on the road to WrestleMania. And it's going pretty good so far. And away from me, what are you watching on TV? Because obviously I'm watching crap.
I'll tell you what I'm watching.
What are you watching?
Not wrestling. I did watch it once upon a time. I used to be really into it back in the day, but
everyone was.
Everyone was. But then I grew up, so.
I still like watching grown men in tights.
Yeah. It's like a male burlesque.
It is.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So, I'm a big movie guy. I've seen a few movies lately, but that everybody else has seen already too. So I'm not going to get into those too much unless I feel like it. But there are a couple shows that I want to recognize that I've gotten into lately. They're Netflix shows, and they've been around a while. So I'm not covering any new ground here. I'm kind of dipping back into shows that I never got to before because there's just so many damn shows and blah,
it's a
blah,
lot.
blah.
It's hard to get to everything.
So a while back when it aired, we watched Watchmen on HBO, which was fucking fantastic, especially as a fan of the graphic novel. So, but that was a while back. So after that, we had new things to move on. So we went and got into some of the back catalog, if you will, of Netflix. So first one we got to was Peaky Blinders, which you clearly modeled your hair after.
Of course.
So everybody in Peaky Blinders has shaved sides and ridiculously long hair up top.
There you go.
But anyway, It's a show that takes place in the post World War One England, Birmingham, and it's a organized crime show, I guess you could say. Not really mob because they're kind of smaller than a mob, but you know, it's about organized crime in Birmingham, England, post World War One, and it's really really interesting. Just because it's different. It's a British show, so you gotta be able to understand their accents and all that shit. But it's extremely well acted, extremely well written, and the storylines are just very compelling, and the characters are all very compelling and different. You know, none of them are really likable per se.
Yeah.
But you still grow to like them. That's what's kind of the amazing thing, is that a lot of them do things that are just like, yeah, it's not a good move, man. You shouldn't do that shit. But they're still really likable, and you still want to see them live and succeed, and a lot of them don't. And that's the reality of it. But in organized crime, people are going to die. Newsflash. But it's a really fantastic show, really well written, really well acted. I encourage anybody to go back and watch it. Don't be scared of the period piece-ness of it, because it actually is really cool seeing, stuff from, where technology didn't play a factor, where it was all about people and the way they interacted, and just there's an element there that just doesn't exist nowadays. That's really interesting. The other one,
before you get to the other one, what was that show called?
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders, yeah.
Make sure you watch that one.
Yes.
What's your next one?
You should watch it too, by the way.
I haven't seen it yet. I probably will.
Do it.
Oh,
it's
right.
good.
Do it.
So, we got through season 5 of Peaky Blinders, which ends on a hell of a cliffhanger, by the way. So I'm really excited about season 6, and it's not supposed to come out until like 2021. So I'm like, fuck, man, hurry up, people.
Yeah. Come on.
I just jumped on your bandwagon now, but hurry up and come out with a new season. So we started watching Narcos. We need another show. We found Narcos on Netflix. Whoa, talk about another really, really fantastic show. Historical base. It's about the drug trafficking in South America, namely Colombia, with Pablo Escobar and his drug empire. And it's just really visceral and really well done. But it's also, again, very character based. Yeah. And it's also period, because it takes place in the 70s, in the late 70s to 80s, and then the 80s into the early 90s. It might not even touch in this late 70s. I don't know what I'm thinking. The 80s into the early 90s. And a lot of it's very authentic. So a lot of it's subtitled, your favorite.
Oh, I love subtitles.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me at all, because it's authentic. They're not all running around speaking English with Spanish accents, which makes no sense, because nobody in Colombia speaks fucking English with a Spanish accent. They all speak Spanish. So it makes perfect sense. Yeah. And what really struck me is that I'm not really spoiling anything here, but Pablo Escobar is the main character in the show. Yeah, he really is. Yeah. But I thought it was the DEA agents that were going to be the main characters. And they are. They're very prominent characters. But the show is really about Pablo Escobar, how he built his empire, and how he compromised himself, what kind of person he turned into, the things he did, the terrible things he did, and then how the DEA was just struggling to catch him and bring him down. And it's really interesting. It's really interesting. We're still early in that. I still got a lot to see, so I'm still behind on it. We just got into the second season. There's 3 seasons of that, and then there's 2 seasons of Narcos Mexico. It moves from Colombia to Mexico. The second season of that just came out, so I'm excited to move into all that stuff. But it's a really, really compelling, fantastic show. The characters are all really well done. The writing, again, is fantastic. I don't care that it's subtitled, because it makes it more authentic. Everything seems real. It's very real and visceral, down to earth. And it's a fantastic watch. So
definitely have to check that out too. I have not seen that yet, but that is on my Netflix list. Another Netflix show that I just seen was Dracula.
Dracula. There's a Netflix show about Dracula?
Yes.
Okay.
It's 3 episodes, each hour and a half long. First 2 episodes are really, really amazing. The third one, I understand where they went, but man, that series is amazing. I'm glad they did it. you really got to check out Dracula on Netflix. That's all I'm going to say because I'm not going to spoil anything at all. Check out Dracula on Netflix. Now we're going to get into some movies. Recent movies. I've recently seen Birds of Prey.
Okay, so I really want to know about this movie and if it's any good or
not. Which is interesting because when I saw a week after it opened, and the lovely small town that I live in said that they had to change the name of the movie to Harley Quinn stars in Birds of Prey because it wasn't doing very good at the box office. So, I mean, that was their first mistake there. Very good movie. I give it about a B+. The only gripe I have with it really shouldn't have been called Birds of Prey. I think it should have been called just Harley Quinn because
I got
the Birds of Prey, they weren't really featured too much in the movie.
And that's my problem.
That's kind of my problem too with the movie.
Because if you are going to make a Birds of Prey movie,
yeah.
I want to see a fucking Birds of Prey movie.
Exactly.
I don't give a... I couldn't give two shits about Harley Quinn at this point. I'm sorry. Overexposed, overrated. I like the character. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I like her. But can we stop acting like she's like a DC flagship all of a sudden? I mean, come on, man. It's fucking Birds of Prey. That's a legendary... Well, I mean, I guess it's not legendary to the mainstream fucking audience. Harley Quinn all of a sudden is like a mainstream character. Stupid, but whatever. So... The Birds of Prey, though, man, it's like if they actually made a good Birds of Prey movie, it'd be sick. It'd be awesome. Yeah. Instead of making, Harley Quinn and her funny little sidekicks, and we're gonna call it Birds of Prey.
Yeah. That's pretty much what the movie was. But still really good. Actually, I give it a B+. Action, the fighting scenes were really good in the movie. Top-notch action scenes. So I recommend go watch it, but the title of the movie kind of doesn't fit what should have been. And I'm gonna go ahead and move on to another movie, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Oh, now see this one, I just need to see. I really want to see this one so bad.
I mean, it wasn't as good as Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, but the story that they told was just amazing. Like the story between Jay and...
But wait, most people didn't like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, right?
I think they did.
I don't know. They always say they didn't. I loved it, but everybody else always says, it's weak.
That was more of a Mallrats thing, which came
cult
classic.
Yes,
Mallrats. It's a cult classic now, but it wasn't good and when it first came out.
But did Jay and Silent Bob even achieve cult classic status?
Yes. The Clerks is now in the hall of...
Clerks? We're not talking about Clerks. We're talking about Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Jay and Silent Bob are in Clerks.
Bro. Yeah, but Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back is a movie that is not Clerks.
Whatever.
I realize, believe it or not, that Jay and Silent Bob are in Clerks. I've seen the fucking movie.
Yeah, everyone has. Hopefully.
If not, you should.
But this fantastic. Reboot movie... Amazing. He does such a good job. The cameos in this movie, top notch, very funny. Highly recommend go see Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. That's all I gotta say about that.
I really want to see that. I'm dying.
I bought it on Blu-ray when it came out. Good stuff.
I'm a View Askew guy,
View Askew.
Yeah. So yes. I'm definitely down for some reboot there.
Oh yeah.
So, and I went to their panel at Comic-Con. I went to Kevin Smith's panel. It was called Kevin Smith Reboots Hall H. Because he was talking about Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Yeah. And Jason Mewes was hilarious. Kevin Smith was hilarious. It was a great time. Good stuff. Yeah, I really want to see that movie.
And now we're going to venture off into a little bit of video games. What video games are you currently playing?
Well, I am just about to finish Death Stranding. I'm basically in the epilogue of it right now. What a mindfuck of a game. I'm a big Hideo Kojima fan, so I love the Metal Gear series. It's probably my favorite game series of all time. So it was a natural to get Death Stranding, which is his next venture. And it's such an incredibly unique game. it almost kind of bars description.
Yeah.
I mean, people try to oversimplify it and say, oh, you run around delivering packages, and you do that, but there's so much more to it. And just from a storyline standpoint, the gameplay can maybe leave a little bit to be desired here at times, but I also think people were a little over the top with it, and it's not nearly as difficult as people made it out to be. Yeah. People were bitching about how hard it was. It's like, yeah, obviously you've never played Dark Souls. So I got through the game pretty easily, and it's great. I mean, it's great storylines. It's very, very deep and existential and just unique. There's just not much like it out there. Yeah. Beyond that, I actually went back and have played the entire God of War series from start to finish. I'm in the middle of the newest one now, God of War, which moves on to Norse mythology from Greek mythology from the original trilogy. So, and that's been a great experience because I love the God of War games, and every one of them is fantastic. Very challenging games, just some of the hardest games you'll ever play that aren't named Dark Souls. But, just very challenging combat system and, forces you to think and be quick and stuff like that. It's very cool. And the storyline's great because I've always loved Greek mythology. And then it was very cool to see them move to Norse mythology with the new one, the open world environment where you can explore. And it's just awesome. So
yeah. Right on. Yeah. Cool.
What about you?
I, unfortunately, don't have very much time to play video games anymore. With work and family, it's kind of hard to find the time to play video games. But when I do,
can't you just drop like the family off at the park or something?
I wish I could do that. When I do, I've just started kind of playing the remastered version of Uncharted. I'm about halfway through the first one.
Fantastic game series.
I did buy God of War, and I haven't really had the time to play that yet, and I really want to. Usually when I get about a half hour to an hour to play some video games, I'll play some sports games like some MLB The Show, some NFL Madden every now and then when I got just a little bit of time to play. But other than that, I just haven't had the time to play video games, but I'm going to start to try to next month. So hopefully I come back with some more video game insight with you. Also, hopefully, on the video game
next month, your contribution to this segment will be more interesting.
A little bit more interesting, I guess.
Cool. Yeah.
Possibly next month we might have a special guest on the video game segment. We'll keep that in
limbo, and maybe
you never know. Yeah. We'll see who pops up on the video game segment.
That's called a cliffhanger, folks.
Yeah. All right.
He's good at those.
Very good, apparently. As you can see, I'm a couple beers in already, and he's getting a little slurry.
Well, it is called beer night. I mean, Speaking of which, I need a refill. You mind wrapping this shit up?
So do I. We're gonna move on to the next segment. Here we go.
And it's called Who Cares?
Who cares?